bottled up difficult emotions, guilt, sadness, anxiety, addiction, unhealthy obsessions? Well, the vast majority of us hide them in the basement of our minds and live under the pretense that they have gone. However, these bottled up emotions grow more prominent over time and manifest in our daily thoughts and our behaviors. At some point, it just feels overwhelming to handle them all. Maybe you've been there. You're not alone. I was once someone who hid behind a packet of Doritos to feel that happy vibe. It was the sense of happiness that came from having my belly full, but it was disguised in the feeling of my heartbreak, the feeling of self worth. Instead, I started to date multiple men to feel loved. Now, this is me being completely real with my listeners. I'll always be honest with you. I dated a lot of men in that time because I didn't feel good enough. I bottled it up. It hit me hard when I felt lonely, overweight, and then I was lacking the energy to get off the sofa to see my friends. That tipping point was a sign that I needed emotional healing. Our big question today is, how is emotional healing different to physical healing? To answer this question, we have expanded our reach to across the pond. To be specific, Boston. Our podcast is getting traction across the world. Hell yeah, it feels really, really good. So let me introduce you to Jackie Roby. Jackie is a Chief Excellence Officer at Inspired Journey Consulting, a Boston-based business dedicated to wellness, healing, and transformational tourism. Put all of that together, hey? So through a message of hashtag travel can heal, Inspired Journey Consulting's vision is to create a world where marginalised people feel empowered to be their authentic selves, where traveling is a tool for inclusion, to enhance the cultural wellness in the travel industry, and grow emotional intelligence, healing, and a self-care for a kinder humanity. How lucky are we to have Jackie with us? Jackie, welcome to Success Talks. How is life treating you?
Oh, thank you so much, Tammy. Life is phenomenal, and I'm so grateful.
What a great word, phenomenal. So high on life.
Exactly.
Oh, that's good to hear. It really is. So I just wanted to start by thanking you. Thank you for your amazing article in the Yellow magazine. It was really refreshing to have something completely different, a different dynamic to healing as we know it. What inspired you to embark on the journey to help people to heal with travel?
Mm. Well, I have worked in the travel industry in sales for almost 20 years now. And about 17 or 18 years in, I was working for a large consortium, which is a collection of, I think we had 50,000 travel agencies underneath the umbrella. I was given a program to oversee that was a luxury wellness program. So, this is where I learned about wellness and healing travel. And when I came into the space, I thought, oh, it's spa and yoga, which was great because I love spa and yoga. But then I really started to see what was there, that it was so much deeper than that, that people had the chance to get the support on their healing journey. And I myself had been on my own journey for over a decade at that point. And I thought, if I'm in the industry and I didn't know this, how in the world is anybody else supposed to know? So it moved me in a way to create my own business. And that's where it was born.
Yeah. So seeing it and experiencing it from afar and then using that to help others. Was there something that you experienced in your life that made you feel compelled to take this role?
Yes, definitely. I had fallen into a very deep depression, and I now can look back and say I was running from my feelings for a long time. And I was running from past trauma, and I was running from abuse, and I was running from insecurity and body shaming and all of these different things. And finally, it all caught up with me. And I had my first dance with depression, and it knocked me. And I will never forget how alone I felt. Even though I had people, I still felt alone. And I spent years in therapy. I'm still in therapy. I love therapy. And I spent years reading and learning and trying new ways to work on my own mental wellness and find happiness and joy. And then when wellness travel came into my world, I really soaked it in, and I made sure to meet with healers and different, doctors and therapists to learn what tools were available through travel in these different spaces. And it was there that it shook me. It shook me in a beautiful way. And I knew I wanted to help. I knew that I had a voice to use, and that the travel industry, it was run like so many other industries where when you have the deepest pockets, you make the most noise. And these visionaries that have opened these wellness travel and healing travel resorts and hotels, and that are focusing on tours and retreats, they don't necessarily have those deep pockets. And maybe they don't have the sales skills. But I'm a trained salesperson, and I can make noise and create a voice.
Oh, absolutely. That's good. There's a good skill to have and to shine a light on an industry that is really it's actually really helping people.
Mhm.
But the thing is, so in the UK, it's not that common that people would go to counseling or therapies. I think the UK are a little bit further behind than, say, America. So, what I'm imagining now is people listening to this podcast thinking, yeah, that's not me. I'm not suffering. Maybe they're disguising their feelings, like I said earlier, the basement of their mind. It's like, yeah, I've dealt with that. But it's not until it kind of gets explosive. And usually, from my experiences, I've seen people with their behaviors where they've got addictions or a heavy reliance on someone or they're codependent. That's where they're bottling up the emotions. How, from your experience and the people that you've worked with, what are the common like the common behaviors or stories that people are experiencing that will help our listeners to go, oh, okay, that's me. Yep, that's me.
Well, I would say that while therapy might not be the go-to in the UK, I think that the commonality of letting things get to the extreme, that can be universal.
Oh yes.
In my own story, I had to have my mom fly out from another state to help me because I couldn't function anymore. And people that I work with, people that have come to me looking for support on their journey, they'll say, I've had this happen. I thought I was alone. I've been dealing with this sadness. I can't get out of bed, or I'm going through the motions and I don't feel anything. I can't
Mm.
feel happiness. Um, I have been abused my whole life, and I just realized I'm in an abusive marriage. Um, there's so many different ways, and even the stress, the trauma. We as a world in humanity, we have all across the globe experienced trauma. And
Mm.
I know very heavily in the UK with all of the lockdowns that you've had, that's very jarring. And we're social people. We're meant to have change and even change of scenery. So there are things that we might not even realize have changed within us. Some people talk about the anxiety of leaving their house or being in big crowds or even seeing more than six people at a time or one person at a time. What does that look like? Being hugged. Think about those things that we are no longer used to that will be affecting our everyday life moving forward.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking about the different types of people. So I've been well connected and serving different clients all around the UK, and some are introverts, and they've said lockdown has been a blessing for them. They really was distracted in an office environment where there's noise everywhere, people trying to get their attention, and also the feeling of having to be someone's friend when you don't really gel with them at all because you have to be obliged to speak to the person next to you, for example. And so it's been a blessing. And on the flip side, those that are extroverts that feed off people's energy felt that it was like an awful thing to happen to them. They need that interaction, that connection. But then I was thinking about how we're now going to integrate back into society. How do we do that? What does that look like? And there's still concerns of the office environment, the layout of the rooms or the coffee shops, whatever it might be. There's still some uncertainties there. I think everyone will be foolish to believe that this experience isn't traumatic. And when we say the word trauma, it's almost as if it's like a big event. But the way I hear trauma is that it could be on a smaller scale. The not being able to work in the office is a traumatic experience that you're having to change a lot about you and your lifestyle, and there's still uncertainties about it, whether you fully realize or not. Those emotions sit somewhere within you and it's manifesting. And at some point, it's going to show up. Maybe not now, maybe in 10 years' time, when maybe there's a life change. I don't know if you've experienced that when people maybe have children or change career, something that changes them. That old trauma resurfaces.
Mhm. Absolutely. I mean, think about all of the people that are starting their own businesses and what comes up within you as you're going through this process, and even years later that you're dealing with. Maybe you started out and everything was magic, and then things slowed down, or you didn't find happiness, or clients changed routes, or whatever it was. And then you start to question yourself. And then there's self doubt. And, if you don't get the email reply right away with a yes from a client, then what happened? Things stop selling, whatever that is. It plays on us, and it plays on us because of things that we've dealt with and experienced earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole comparison game, even outside of the current climate, there's always that, well, if someone else is doing this, they must be better than me. You start to doubt yourself. Your self esteem is almost squished along the way as well. And
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of that, particularly with social media.
So social media, it's interesting. I hear that a lot. And I guess I think I've found such value in that space because I'm intentional about what I'm looking for. Now, I know I've had moments, but it was probably a little more close to home where I saw things and it made me feel a certain way, but I really look to it as a positive space for inspiration and for community. And I think when there's points that it's not that, that's when you close it down and you take a detox. I actually take a digital detox every week, 1 day a week, 1 day during the weekend. My phone goes in another room and I'm completely off of it. I stay off of social media and I use social for my business. So it's difficult for me to turn
Take
off.
yourself away from it. Why do you do that? Is there like an emotional connection that you have to it that you're trying to work through?
Yeah, I do that for to avoid burnout. I was noticing how burnt out I was getting. And it was at the end of the year. And at this point, I was editing a podcast episode and I was listening to the owner of Pravasa. Her name is Lyndon Schaefer, and that is a wellness tour operator. And she actually spoke about how she does that and the ways that she does her own digital detox. And she is completely off of everything, TV, computer, phone, anything like that. Um, and how it helps her to reset and really become more centered in your purpose. And so for me, I thought, wow, that's really brilliant. I'm going to try it. And I noticed, I actually at the time had decided to take 4 days off of it. And within the first half of day, I felt joy again. And I realized I was struggling to find joy.
Can I just clarify then? Are you referring to emotional burnout?
Yes.
Okay, so this is something that I'm learning about, that there's different levels of burnout. There's not just the physical burnout that we're used to, where, you've been running 10 miles and your body's like, all right, now you need to like slow down, go have a hot bath and relax, and eat well. So you're nourishing your body. But there's more. There's emotional burnout, there's spiritual burnout, and mental burnout.
Yeah. And I would say this was emotional and mental. I was operating barely like on autopilot. Nothing was feeling good. Like I said, I couldn't access joy. There were tears or nothingness. I think that was the funny thing is it was more nothingness. So that's something that's actually really common within wellness travel is digital disconnect. So sometimes you will arrive at a healing property and they will give you what's called like a sleeping bag for your phone.
Sleeping.
So
I
you
like
put it
that.
in, you don't see it. You could carry it if you want to, or you could not. But there's spaces where phones aren't allowed in many places. And it's so that you can really be present. And I think that's such a gift that we forget that is happening when we're constantly swiping and looking and typing and texting and whatever else we're doing on there.
Yeah.
So,
I say often, we're more connected, but we're more disconnected. And
mhm,
what I mean by that is, yes, we're connected through social media, through text messages, video calls. Like these are amazing bits of technology, but we're disconnected from ourselves.
mhm.
Like, who are we without tech? What do we stand for? Do we stand for this cute little outfit that we keep posting, or is it something more than that? And then that's what I really mean by that complete disconnection. And so you're saying that the travel, the healing with travel, it's put your phone down, and you said a really key word there: be present.
Mhm.
And what that really means is that you can notice your breath, you're hearing sounds that you weren't picking up before. You can smell all the fresh plants. That's really being present. But if your face is in your phone, you don't even notice any of those things. You're just noticing what's on the screen. And usually that's how many likes have I got or some superficial stuff.
Yes, something that is not what's in front of you. Even your conversations. There are days where, I've seen it with clients, I've seen it in my own life where people are so just attached to looking down to the alerts. I hate the alerts. I don't have any notifications except for calendars, so I know what I'm doing. But um the alerts, oh, somebody text, oh, somebody emailed, oh, somebody, who cares? It's going to be there,
Yeah, it's
you know?
always going to be there, coming in thick and fast. We've got so many platforms. No
Yes.
wonder why we're distracted by these things.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I turn notifications off as much as I can. My phone's on do not disturb because there was actually a study done that shows when you're emailing, the pop-up that can come with email. It's actually usually automatically set up, that I've turned them down, is every time that you're taken away from an email, you get an alert, something happens, it takes you 90 seconds to focus back on what you were doing before.
Hmm.
So
Add
that's
that
just
up.
it's just, yeah, exactly. It's time wasted. No wonder we're just
Yeah,
often a
all those
mess.
distractions, if you were to add that up, there's a stat to say that we spend an extra 2 hours in our workday because of distractions. And that could be your phone, your emails, but also the chit chat in the office, which fair enough, that's almost like a brain break. So I somewhat encourage it. But you could also do chunking in your work where you plan a time to check your emails. It'll be okay that you reply to someone a few hours later. It's not an instant message that you must reply to. It's put it down, focus in, and deal with those things at a time that works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in my YouTube channel, in the description, I say, subscribe to our channel, but do not turn on notifications. I do the opposite to what everyone else says because I do not want anyone to be controlled by the ping. It's like if I post something, fine. Go find it when it's the right time for you. Just go live your life, stop being distracted, and be present with yourself and notice how you feel. We don't do that enough. How do you feel right now? Um, Thinking of technology, and whilst this is in my mind, I like to say that we are experiencing the Amazon Prime effect. We
Mm,
want things instantly, this whole instant gratification, and it's trickled into the way that we communicate. So we're reliant on technology to have a conversation with someone, and it's very high level. It is general chit chat, small talk. And this is where I also mean that we're disconnected because we're not able to then just ask, oh, how do you feel? Or pick up the cues, going, oh, you just put your head down. Have I said something? Have I triggered something? Are you okay? Do you need a cuddle right now? We can't do that anymore. And so, what we're doing, we're then replicating those communication styles from our phone into our day to day. So, we meet our friends, and it's again the surface level conversations. But why can't we just ask our friends, how do you feel about that? Can I support you in this way? That's the rich conversations. And if we had that, maybe people won't be bottling it up and then getting themselves to a point where they, God forbid it, go down a severe addiction route or something that's troublesome for them to then to work through, almost being a bit more proactive with the way that we operate our lives.
I could not agree more. I will tell you, in my own life, after the first dance with depression, as I was recovering and coming out of it and healing, and I was on medication and allowing that to kick in, the friend base, I narrowed it, and it really had to be the people that I could talk to, really talk to. And that's something for me that's continued to be valuable. I don't want to have those surface level conversations. And through this pandemic, what I've valued is more quality time one on one with people than large groups.
Yeah. And do you find that healing travel can help you find groups? Because I make an assumption here when you go on this experience, you're meeting new people, probably in an intimate setting, maybe no more than 10, and you're being taught how to, one, connect with yourself, but learn how to connect with others on a deeper level. Is that kind of how it works?
So it depends on the type of travel that you choose. So, what you're describing is in line with a retreat, I would say. So there's organized retreats that are wellness and healing focused, where they are guided, where there's limited amount of people that are involved, and that is an amazing way to connect and learn how to be in a deeper way. There's also going to a wellness or healing resort that offers these different modalities, and whether you're going with a friend, a group, or on your own, I think one of the things that I've really been impressed by was when you travel on your own to these places, how quickly you meet people, because there's a automatic bond of excitement and of being open. You go to this space because you're opening up.
Vulnerable.
Yes. And it's powerful. And even for those of us who might not have thought they wanted to meet people when they were out, which is, I think, is more than okay. um, it's surprising just how inviting and kind it is, and how welcome it is as you're going through this journey when
Mhm.
you're there.
So you've got retreats where it's like program led and
Mhm.
you're with a set amount of people. Whereas the how do you describe it? What's the term?
Uh, Perhaps it's just individual travel, any other type of wellness or healing travel. It's a going to a property, staying at a hotel or resort, just like you would book anywhere else. And oftentimes, pending the property, they'll be able to work with you on what your itinerary looks like. And that could range. So, for example, at Ananda in the Himalayas, um, right outside of Rishikesh in India, they have a very thorough customized program that works with you before arrival, while you're there, and then after you leave. At In the States at Canyon Ranch, it's the same kind of thing, and they have certain programs that you can go through that they just launched. Or when I went, it was a gigantic menu that I studied for hours, and then I spoke to a program advisor who set it up and created it in a way that would maximize everything I wanted to get out of this experience.
So it was about you, your individual needs, and they guide you through the options, which means then you would meet a variety of people because you may choose activity number 4 on day number 1, but that would mean that you meet different people to activity number 2 on day 5, and
Exactly.
I understand. So that one's more you're making the conscious decision, whereas the other option, retreat, it's program led. So it's
Mhm.
just how you want to do it, I suppose. Is there one key benefit over the other?
I think it's a personal choice. Really, it's a different experience of what you would like. Some people don't want to be in a group setting. that is so organized they feel like they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So I think for me, my advice would be to, if you're not interested in that, dip your toes by going on your own or going with somebody you trust, and trying it that way, and then see. And maybe you want to do a group trip later, and it's okay if you don't. But that way you feel in control. And I think that's a big piece. I know, at least for trauma survivors, is feeling in control of a scenario. And so being in control of your own experience here and your own healing journey can be a very important part of this.
Well, the good news is there's a variety of options. It's better to explore it and explore your emotions and connect to yourself, whichever way you choose to do it, than bottle it up.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Okay. So, based on what we've shared today, what one key advice would you give to the listeners?
Hmm. I would say be open to trying something new.
I'm
There's so
nodding.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much there that's available that is either out of your comfort zone or like right there, but maybe a little different than what you knew before. And it's really what's going to stretch you and help you to grow and be a better you. Yeah.
Yeah. Trust the process and be vulnerable.
Mhm.
That's the best place to grow from. Than stay the same and live in your current state. Mm. Do you have any services or products available to help the listeners to go to yellow?
Yes, absolutely. So I have the Travel Can Heal initiative. So this brings together a community of travelers, those of us who are on our healing journey or looking for support, as well as the different spaces within travel, the modalities, the suppliers that are there to help. So it is a very simple hashtag, Travel Can Heal, on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome. How can the listeners get in touch with you?
Mm. I would say to head to my podcast, Through Inspired Eyes, and you'll hear more and more examples of ways that travel can support you.
That sounds beautiful because if someone's really struggling right now to trust what we've just talked about, they can learn through other people's experiences as the first step
Mhm.
to booking something. Oh, I love it. Yes, do that. Well, brilliant. Jackie is available to support you, guide you, and inspire you on a journey to yellow. Reach out to her today. Help is here, it's always here, but you must take the first step. Details can be found in the description. Jackie, thank you for your words of wisdom today and in the Yellow magazine. May your life be yellow.